What is up, everyone? Welcome into the newest edition of our MLB DFS DraftKings Picks video, this time for Thursday, August 26th. As you can see from my face being way too dark because of where my lighting is, we are recording this the night before. If we're having a good time on here, it's because Ben challenged me in the 121 tonight. I'm beating him literally all night. Kyle Schwarber just hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth for Ben to go ahead 2 fantasy points on me. I do still have Brandon Woodruff, which I just realized. If they get the win, I get 4 and I'm back up 2. But you have what, Devers going yet? So
Yeah, I said you're going to get the win. So you're going to pass me unless Devers does something here. He's up to bat. There's a guy on first. No outs. This guy's clearly scared to pitch to him. But
oh man,
yeah, so if you guys see me looking down a lot, I'm not distracted. Well, I am distracted, but we're just sweating the games out here. Not used to doing these at night, but yeah, I'm excited.
quite a bit of housekeeping to get through though. If you're wondering how our course did last night, it looks like both of us are going to pretty easily cash in the 121, even though we had some little hiccups. Me with the Cleveland lineup. You had a few guys that didn't play overly well as well, but looks like we will cash. As always, if you enjoy our content, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment. I told you guys on the last video that if you guys continue to do awesome with the comments, with the thumbs up, which you guys have been doing, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, that the next large slate, say 15 games, something along the lines of a free MLB month should be coming. I'll give you a hint, guys. Friday is what we're really looking at. But go ahead, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. Turn on the notifications. Leave a comment below. Anything you want, ask any questions. Let us know your favorite stacks, pitchers, home run calls, literally anything that you want to talk about. And give us that thumbs up. We're still pushing for 50, which would make Ben really happy. As always, as well, you can go to dfskarma.com to find all of our free content. That's also where you can purchase our core plays. Betkarma.com is everything for sports betting. We have a lot of great stuff on there, and it's coming along very well. So go check that out. If you want to get into our free Discord, chatdfs.com, you can access the premium channels by purchasing a core plays package or MVP package. All of that works. And if you really need to know where anything is, go ahead and hit the show more in the description, and you can find all of the links there. We are down to a 9-game slate. I think there's 3 early games, 9 late games for Thursday, right? Is that right, Ben?
Yeah, 9 games. Actually, a decent Thursday slate. Real quick, Devers walked. So I don't know if there's fractional points here. I don't know exactly how many I'm up on you, but I think that would tie us unless it's like percentage points.
I can
Um,
check in a minute.
all right.
You you are going to win by
No, I mean
0.05.
something can happen. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'd have to look at the teams. Also, shout out to you guys. I called on you guys at the end of yesterday's video. I said, you guys believe in us by watching these videos, so we believe in you. Shout out to you. You guys commented a lot. Um, you did really well, and we really appreciate that. Like, it's actually fun for Bales and I to go into the YouTube comments and talk to you guys. So, good job. Keep that up.
No, I 100% agree. Actually, just checking the comments throughout the day it's a really good time, and always talking to everyone that watches and
Yeah,
hearing everyone
the
enjoy our stuff and
the
everything. It's really
people on
good.
YouTube are so much nicer than the people in Discord.
Twitter.
Yeah, they're definitely nicer than the people on Twitter. The people on Twitter are ruthless. But you guys on YouTube are so nice, so we love you guys.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. On the 9-game slate, me and Ben were kind of talking about it before we actually started recording the podcast. There's very little we like in terms of pitching. And then there's also very little that we like in terms of stacking. So this is kind of one of those weird slates where it's just like you don't really love the pitching, but also it's decent enough, and like the bad pitchers get good matchups to the point where like you don't really like the offenses either. But as always, we are going to break down our favorite pitchers, stacks, position by position, home run calls, and kind of give you guys what we're thinking. Obviously, this is really early. We're recording it at almost 11 p.m. the night before, but starting at pitcher, I think it's pretty clear where we're going. But Ben, why don't you outline what you're thinking of here?
Yeah, this is a really weird slate because, like you said, you and I were kind of briefly talking about it before we actually started the video, but there's not a lot to like at pitcher, but then there wasn't a lot of stacks that really stuck out to me either. So I think it's going to be an interesting slate. We do have some aces at the top here: Max Scherzer, Chris Sale, both over 10,000 on DraftKings, and then we have what is expected to be Yu Darvish for the Padres at 9,900 as well. Darvish coming back from the injured list, he has thrown a couple times. He looks like ready to go, but I'm probably going to avoid him. One, tough matchup against the Dodgers, and two, like we just don't know, with him coming back, if they're going to baby him at all. Maybe we'll get some news on that on Thursday, but we'll have to wait and see. So right now, he's out for me. I like Max Scherzer and Chris Sale both. I think Chris Sale definitely has the edge for me. Max is 100% going to pitch longer, but Chris Sale, I mean, he's looked like the Chris Sale of old since he's came back, right?
Mhm.
2.43 Sierra, 32% strikeout rate. I'm not scared of picking on the Twins whatsoever. I mean, they have some guys that can hit lefties well, but overall, they've been a pretty big disappointment for the majority of the season, and Chris Sale is one of the best pitchers in baseball. So he gets the edge for me just because Max is up against the Padres, but that's the type of game that you expect Max Scherzer to get up for. So I think that, in an optimal lineup, I could see trying to pair those guys together on Thursday, and I think that they're the clear top two for me. There are some guys I'm interested in the mid tier, but I'm sure you agree those have to be the top two, right?
Yeah, easily the top two for me is Scherzer and Sale. I would skip over you, Darvish. I don't trust Zach Eflin either. I think the third one that I would at least consider would probably be Alex Wood, and even that I don't necessarily love. I just do think that there's upside for 8,700, and he gets a decent matchup against the Mets. Honestly, I feel like you probably just really drop down to like the three in a row that I think are at least viable. Zach Gallen at 72. I don't love the matchup against Philly, but it's just kind of too cheap for his talent. Miles Mikolas at 71. I don't necessarily love him as a pitcher, but he gets a solid matchup against Pittsburgh. And since the trade deadline, they've been striking out at a much higher rate than kind of for the majority of the season. So it does add a little bit of a little bit of upside to him. And then, I guess I missed the first guy. Yusei Kikuchi at least has been throwing well. The problem is, which we discussed prior to coming on here, that his control has been basically all over the place. So Kikuchi, I kind of actually do believe he's a good pitcher, and he gets a plus matchup against the Royals, who aren't really good on the road. It's just you kind of have to take the good with the bad, and the fact that he's really been struggling with his control. And if he can't command the ball tomorrow, or I guess tonight, if you're watching this today, if he can't command the ball tonight, he's going to have some serious problems, which is basically what's been happening for his last few games.
Yeah, so for me, three guys in the mid tier. One, Zach Gallen, which you mentioned, and then also Jamison Tyon. So these guys have similar matchups, right? I think these are what I consider boom bust matchups. I think there are strikeouts to be found in both the A's and the Phillies lineup, but they also have decent offenses and they can hit the ball. So this is similar to what we saw with Robbie Ray on Wednesday. We made this video. I was like, this is the number one boom bust matchup on the slate. They hit the ball really well against lefties, but they strike out a lot. So I need to figure out what I want to do with that. I ended up playing him. That worked out really well. He had a really good outing. So those are two guys that I definitely will dig into a little bit more, especially at their price tags. I think they both have upside. They can be used definitely in tournaments, potentially in cash games as well. And then the last guy, I think he's the cheapest pitcher on the on the slate. Our boy Keller from Kansas City. I can't believe I'm talking about this. I actually feel like this is someone that you have played a couple
Brad
times this
Keller.
season. Yeah, I have not played any Brad Keller, but I feel like you've played him a couple times. Over the last 30 days, 24% strikeout rate is not bad at all. Super good matchup against the Seattle Mariners. Anytime I get someone that I think is capable of 4 to 5xing at 5K on DraftKings, I'm interested in. So he's 100% going to be my player pool. Not sure if that's the type of play I'll make in cash games because we have Chris Sale and Max Scherzer, and I'm the double spend up guy. So I'm probably just going to try and get those two. But I won't rule out playing Keller, and I actually think he's my favorite tournament pitcher on this slate as of Wednesday night, just because it's very easy for me to see him beating that price tag. And even if he doesn't, the amount of bats that you'll be able to fit in by playing him, he can go out and get you like 6, 7 fantasy points. And if your bats go off, I don't think that will kill you in GPPs. So he might actually be my favorite tournament pitcher for right now.
Yeah, I think that Keller is a really good option on this slate. I think oddly enough, I've played him 3 times, which is like very specific. But the only reason that I know that is because 2 of the times he's scored 20 plus, which obviously for someone that's consistently as cheap as Brad Keller, you're always going to remember that type of pitcher. And then the third time, I believe he scored roughly like -10 or something. So also the type of game that you're going to remember if your pitcher does that. Um, I like it. I think 5,200. It's way too cheap. He's scored what 20 plus in each of his last 2 and gets a matchup against Seattle. So I do think that that's viable. The only other guy that I would personally mention is Mitch Keller, only because he gets a matchup against St. Louis, and Keller is actually good against right-handed batters. So getting the majority of the game against righties against St. Louis is going to help him, even though, he's really not a good pitcher, but he is due for positive regression because more or less he's been throwing so bad for the majority of the season that it kind of just has to drop down. Like his ERA is not going to stay, or I guess it shouldn't stay around 6.5. So I do think that on this type of slate in tournaments, you can kind of take a shot on Mitch Keller as well, but I prefer Brad to Mitch.
Dude, Josh Donaldson just hit a home run. I'm losing my mind right now. I cannot believe that happened.
Donaldson?
Yeah, that's just pain, man. Chalk Josh Donaldson, of course. Homers in extra innings. What's the chances of that? I mean, that's like all the good mojo of Schwarber homering late just like gets thrown out because
Chalk
Josh Donaldson.
Schwarber to
Oh,
Chalk Donaldson.
that is terrible, dude.
We got on here and I was in the top 20 in the 121. I am now pretty close to bubbling.
Dude, it's just like it was so obvious that I was playing Devers or Donaldson, and it was just so easy to get Devers. Like,
Yep.
oh, that's so unfortunate. All right, back to the slate. I think we covered pitching well. So are we gonna do stacks first here?
Yep, we can move on to stacks. If I'm going to start this, I think the obvious one again, Boston, John Gant starting for Minnesota. He's a bad pitcher, Boston at home, and they're arguably the hottest offense in the MLB. Outside of that, you have both sides of Texas, Cleveland. Just both starters are atrocious in that game. I think Cleveland's probably my second favorite stack on this entire slate. And then you have to say Texas just because the matchup's so good. But at the same time, that offense is so bad that it's impossible to trust. But at this point, it just kind of feels like those are the top 3 stacks. But who are you looking at?
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think both sides of the Texas Cleveland game are definitely interesting to me. Um, I would say like Boston 100% is gonna be up there as well. Definitely with how they've been playing, they've been chalked the last couple slates. So that's probably the number one, followed by the Texas Cleveland game for me. I like Miami against Patrick Corbin. We were kind of talking about it, but I at least know Corbin's going to give up home runs, even though Miami's not great against lefties. But that could be a spot I don't go full stack, but maybe consider some one offs. I think Kansas City looks interesting for like a full stack in tournaments, just because, like you said, Kikuchi's been really wild recently. 12% walk rate over the last month. Um, they're just a bad offense, so it's tough for me to like want to stack them in cash. But for tournaments, maybe if you just want to go with a full stack there. That wouldn't mind me. And then last one, just the Yankees because they've been so hot. You can definitely use.
Yep, I agree. I think now is a good time for a friendly reminder, chatdfs.com to get into our Discord. Again, this is coming out early. Our thoughts, we're going to have more as we dig deeper into the slate. So what you're getting now is probably not what we're going to completely end up on, even though, this is kind of a first look type of thing. So chatdfs.com gets you into our free Discord, which obviously we're always discussing literally all sports. We have basically any sport that you can think of, along with some other stuff in there. But moving to position by position, starting at catcher, who are you looking at?
Yeah, number one, Salvador Perez. But if I go the Chris Sale, Max Scherzer route, I will not be able to fit him in. But I always like him against left-handed pitching, and that could potentially fit in with my Kansas City in tournaments route. Outside of him, Dalton Varshall, this is someone that we talked about on yesterday's video. Someone I've played a couple times recently. He's been hitting the ball hard. Obviously, a good matchup against Keller, and he's under 4K. So I think as of now, he's my favorite option. But if I go like double spend up, I'm going to have to wait and see the lineups on Thursday and find someone cheap. Though you did mention Austin Hedges yesterday, and he hit a home run. So that was a good call by you.
Yeah, I liked Hedges in that game, and then I stacked Cleveland. I
Didn't use him.
Yeah.
Classic.
To be fair, I would have used him over Mercado, who hit a home run. So
I can't believe Donaldson hit a home run. I can't believe this.
I think you're right on Perez. I think we also need to kind of wait for the cheaper options for sure, because you're probably going to want to spend up twice. But if you can get to Perez, 100% feel free. If a guy like John Hicks is in the lineup, I have no problems taking a shot on him because of his power as well. And then, just kind of punting whatever's available. At first base, I mean, it's a tough position. I think that there's like several reasonable options. I think like if you want to go like Matt Olson, I'm not gonna have any issues with that. If you want someone like Pete Alonso, okay. A guy that kind of stands out to me, closer to the top than not, is Brandon Belt against Carlos Carrasco. Obviously, Carrasco's not as bad as he's throwing at the moment, but Belt does come with a bit of power and has looked decent in recent games. You have guys like Travis Shaw if you want to get a cheaper piece of Boston. Even like Colin Moran is going to probably be hitting third or fourth for Pittsburgh, and it gets a solid matchup against Mikolas, who doesn't really strike anyone out. And then I guess the two options that just more or less to me stick out as too cheap are going to be one, Anthony Rizzo at 3,400. I know he's been ice cold, but it doesn't really matter. It's still Anthony Rizzo. He comes with plenty of upside. And at 3,400, you can always definitely take that chance. And then the second one is going to be Jesus Aguilar. We already talked about how we like the matchup against Corbin, and Aguilar actually performs well against left-handed pitching and does have some power. So that's the guy that I would be looking towards. What are you looking at first base tonight?
Yeah, Rizzo and Luke Voigt are both really cheap, low 3Ks. I definitely think you can use those guys. Jesus Aguilar definitely too cheap as well. So that's that's three guys that have pretty big power for low 3K on DraftKings. So that definitely gets me interested. If you're spending up, I don't know. I mean, it's really early, right? Night before, but I do think St. Louis is probably going to be one of my favorite stacks against Keller, just because it feels to me like Keller's the guy that like when it's bad, like it gets really bad and he really gets blown up.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to stack against those guys. And Paul Goldschmidt, I think that was today. He homered twice, which would be Wednesday. It was on the early slate, 3-game slate, but he's looked much better over the last couple weeks. I think the way to attack Keller is just a full 5-man stack. So I think he's probably my favorite spend up here.
Yeah, I have no issues with that. Moving to second, this is pretty clear to me. There's three guys that I feel like are just kind of above everyone else. All three have been playing very well recently and get solid matchups. Under 5K still, Whit Merrifield, he's been on fire.
See, you're coming around on the Kansas City stack, dude. You're coming around.
Yeah, I know. Perez, Whit Merrifield.
Yeah.
Then slightly below him, Josh Rojas, again, another guy playing extremely well, gets a plus matchup. And then if you want to drop down to around the 4K range at 4,200, you have Tommy Edman, who is one of the left-handed bats for St. Louis and obviously gets the great matchup against Mitch Keller. So I do think that Tommy Edman is at play. And those are honestly the three that really stand out to me at this point. Is there anyone else that you like?
Yeah, Witt and Edmund are definitely my two favorites. There is a couple cheap guys, both low 2K, close to min price on DraftKings, but Andy Ibanez and Nick Solak for the Rangers against Hedges are really cheap. So I could see myself using one of those guys if I go with the max sale build and I need some savings.
Yep, I agree with that. We could move to third base where, spoiler alert, Devers and Jose Ramirez once again are the best options. I don't think anyone's
Yeah.
really that close to them, but they're close to 6K. So I don't want to take everything away from you. Who are you looking at third base?
No, I mean those are the going to be the top two projections, most certainly. I think you can throw Arnado in there with them as well, given my interest in the Cardinals. Other than that, Kyle Seager, if you're not using Brad Keller, can definitely be used even as a one-off, given his home run ability. And then, I mean, it's kind of the same cheap guys. Travis Shaw, who we talked about in yesterday's video, I think he had an RBI earlier, but he's cheap. Cheap, good way to get cheap exposure to Boston. Rougned Odor's down there below. I think he's below 3K.
Yep,
Really,
2,900.
yeah, really cheap. So I'm fine with him. I think that's about it. You could throw Dozier in as well if you're stacking
Yeah.
Casey. He hits the ball, good fly ball rate. He has power. I mean, that's really cheap. So you could throw Dozier in there as well.
Yep. No, I completely agree with you. I don't think there's
Oh
much
my
else to be
God, dude,
said.
the Twins are popping off in extra innings. They have 9 runs.
No. Are they actually?
It's
This
like
is
it's
this
like
this is
random
fair.
people though. It's like Jake Cave. Like it's not like
Can we get something for Polanco, please?
he's probably gonna get
Give
back
me
up.
a
To be
little
honest.
bit for Polanco.
Oh, there's two outs. All right, continue on third base. I'm sorry.
No, I think you outlined third base extremely well, 100%. Moving to shortstop. Go ahead. I'll let you start at shortstop. Who are you looking at?
Yeah, I don't love this position. I mean, you can always spend up on one of these guys if you want to, but I think Ahmed Rosario is once again the best mid tier play. We talked about him on yesterday's video. You and I were just discussing how he was about 5 feet from a home run in today's game. A little warning track fly out, so that was annoying for you because you have him. So I think he's the top mid tier play. And then Paul DeJong, this is someone that like the metrics just don't look good, but he hits the ball hard. And if you're stacking the Cardinals, I'm not gonna say he would guarantee be one of my five, but I would definitely consider putting him in because I don't think he's not gonna be high owned, obviously, but he does have power upside. So I would file him away, especially if you're interested in the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm pretty fine with that. It's a pretty weak position, in my opinion. I think you're fine with Xander Bogaerts, although, it's going to be really difficult to get up to 5,800 for him. And I guess the only other guy that I would really mention is Brandon Crawford, who has been playing relatively well, super consistent, although he hasn't flashed too much upside recently, but doesn't really matter. And he gets the matchup against Carlos Carrasco. So, uh, I think that you outlined it pretty well. And well, I'll add Miguel Rojas actually, the more that I think about it. That's a solid option. It's just tough to use him at the exact same price as Ahmed Rosario. I just really prefer Rosario for the way that he's playing right now. But I don't know. There's a few options. It's kind of a tough position though. We can move to outfield. Anyone, let's just say 4,500 and above. I'm not going to redo any positions because obviously guys like Josh Rojas and stuff also outfield eligible. But at 4,500 and above, I think for me personally, two guys pretty much stick out. One at 5,500 is Framil Reyes, which that price tag's starting to get a little high, but against Jordan Lyles on this type of a slate, I do think he's a really good option. And then two is your boy Kyle Schwarber. 4,800 is just a little too cheap for a matchup against John Gant, in my opinion.
Yeah, Schwarber 100% will be chalk again on Thursday. So he's probably my top overall play. but I like Framil Reyes a lot, and I like Juan Soto a lot in that upper 5K tier. So that's probably my three favorites, but Schwarber 100% is number one because he's just going to be – it's going to be tough not to use him in cash games.
Yeah, I completely agree there. Moving along, there's a few options that I do think are reasonable that are kind of like Wade Jr. has been kind of up and down, but I like both of them in the matchup against Carrasco. You have like Alex Verdugo's only 3,500, so you can use a guy like that. Depending on if you want the lefty, Andrew Benintendi's been playing really well. He's only 3,200. You have someone like Adolis Garcia for Texas. He's 3,100. Obviously, gets the plus matchup against Hedges. So a lot that you can like here. 3K still way too cheap. Miles Straw. It's honestly, I feel like I've played Miles Straw legitimately on like 10 consecutive slates. It's actually getting, I feel kind
I think I lost Bales, so I don't know. I'll have to wait and see a second here. If he's gone, I will finish out the video here. Finish talking about outfield. He might be back. There he is. He's
Did we
back.
lose me?
I think I lost you, but we're back, baby.
Oh man, I just rattled off like 30 different players.
All right. Well, I think you were only gone for like 12 seconds.
Oh,
or like
that's
15 seconds. So
there's just a few guys that I do like. Yoshi Tsutsuga. I don't actually know how to say his name. Miles Straw, way too cheap. Adolis Garcia, way too cheap. Benintendi, if you're fine lefty, he's been playing well, way too cheap. Verdugo, Mikey Yastrzemski, Lamont Wade Jr. They're not playing as well, but get a plus matchup against Carrasco. So that's a bunch of guys that I like. I will let Ben add in anything that he needs to. I'm not sure what he said while I was away at this point.
Yeah, I didn't say much. I just said I thought we lost you, so if you didn't come back in the next 10 seconds, I was going to fish it outfield. But came back. So I didn't say much. I want to add one more in. Joey Gallo might have the best batted ball profile over the last 14 days in baseball right now. Absolutely on fire. Has to be one of the top plays at outfield today. So I will add him in there. As far as cheaper guys, you covered a lot of it, but there's a lot of good cheap guys again. Both the Indians guys, Miles Straw, Bradley Zimmer, I think those guys are definitely in play. Adolis Garcia is still really cheap in a good matchup. You can use him. Some of the Cardinals guys are cheap, right? Dylan Carlson is really cheap. Tyler O'Neill's been banged up, so we'll have to wait and see if he's in the lineup. If he's not, this guy Lars Nootbaar came in, hit a walk-off today. I don't know. He's actually been playing decently well for the Cardinals, so you can consider him. And then I want to mention Lamont Wade Jr. as well. Over the last 14 days, 51% fly ball rate, 45% hard hit rate. So I think he can be used in all formats as well.
I like it. I like it a lot. I guess this is the time where we move to home run calls. Who you got?
Yeah, I want to pick Joey Gallo, but I feel like that's like way too easy just because it's Joey Gallo. So I'm gonna go Adolis Garcia for mine.
I actually almost went Garcia, and then I changed
Stolen.
mine last second to Jesus Aguilar.
I can get on board with that one as well. It's a good one.
So once again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please give us a thumbs up, comment anything you want. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn the notifications on, so when we start doing the giveaways, you 100% know what's coming, what you have to do to win them. It's not going to honestly be much, but you can get a free month of our MLB subscription, which is fantastic value in Ben and my opinion, since we run it. But thank you again for watching. Hopefully everyone has had a successful night last night. You'll also have a successful night tonight, and good luck. We'll be back tomorrow.